Okay, so I just realized UK time is different than American time, and the 1000 Doors Readathon is starting right now. Like, the videos just launched. I was just casually eating dinner, minding my own business, scrolling on YouTube, and I saw Emma, Meg, and Tasman's video all pop up at the same time and thought, oh no. There's a long backstory. I'm doing a lot of other things right now. I have other videos going on. I have a book I have to finish reading by this Sunday for a book club. I'm stressed, but I don't want to miss out on this readathon because it was really fun the last time and I really want to participate, and I could just start tomorrow, but I feel like I have to start now. So it is currently Thursday at like 8 p.m. for me, and I'm gonna go watch all 3 of their videos and pick which prompt I want to start with. So last time I ended up on Meg a lot when I did the 1000 Doors Readathon the first time, and she did all her prompts based on memes, so I imagine she's gonna do that again if I had to guess. So I'm gonna start by checking out her video and seeing what her prompts are.
So the first doors of the weekend edition of 1000 Doors Readathon are open. Now, each of us 3 co-hosts are giving our prompts in a kind of unusual and different way. Each of us is going to be giving it in a different way. And mine are going to be, once again, based on memes. Okay, so your first prompt is...
let me ask the audience.
Okay, so Megan's first prompt is a meme. The meme where the woman is like serving up the plate of food, you know, and she's like, let me ask the audience. And so that is the prompt. Her suggestion that she gave was to do a poll on social media, which I do a lot. So that could be a good option to do that and post something on Instagram to weigh out the options. But before I do that, I'm gonna check out Emma and Tasman's prompts as well and just see if I maybe wanna start with theirs instead.
Hello everybody! My first prompt for you guys is the Måneskin's live performance at the Eurovision 2021 final of their song Zite Abuoni.
Okay, so Tasman's prompt is something to do with some Eurovision performance that I know nothing about, and so I probably am not going to pick this prompt. She said she would pick a smutty book because they are sexy singers, or like something that had singers or famous people like Daisy Jones and the Six. I don't really love books about famous people, and I don't know who these people are, so probably won't pick that one, but I will go and watch Emma's prompt now and see what her first one is.
The doors are open! We're gonna play a little mini game of Articulate. Okay, I landed on nature, so the first prompt is going to be owl. The word owl.
Okay, so Emma's prompts are all gonna be centered around games. So she is playing this board game of Articulate. She rolls the dice and you get your word that is supposed to inspire the prompt. And this one ended up being owl. So you could read a book with an owl on the cover or in the title, or a book about wisdom. You can get really creative with these prompts. Again, nothing's immediately coming to mind. And then when I think about Meg's prompt being ask the audience, I'm gonna have to just probably poll people anyway. So I think I'm gonna go with Meg's and poll people. And I'm gonna have to figure out some books on my TBR because I didn't expect having to do this so soon because I thought I wasn't gonna have to do this until tomorrow, and I have no idea what I could read for this. I'm gonna have to do multiple books, and they're gonna have to be short books if I'm gonna do multiple books in a weekend, along with another book I'm reading for another vlog that I'm doing right now. So yikes, I'm nervous. Okay, I'm gonna go grab some books off my shelf, whatever I'm in the mood for. I don't know, it's gonna be an adventure. And then I guess I'll just pick a couple and poll on Instagram. Like I said, I do this a lot. So if you're not following my Instagram, go check it out. It's just at Ashley's Little Library. Obviously the poll will be done by the time you're seeing this, but I do it all the time so you can participate in future ones. Man, I just don't know what I'm gonna read. All right, I'm gonna go figure that out and then I'll let you know once I know what I'm doing. Okay, so I have some options. I have a lot of short horror and thriller books that I just hauled. Like, I just bought a lot of them. Because if you don't know, I'm going to be co-hosting a thriller, horror, mystery, true crime readathon in the beginning of September called the Thrill Till the Weekend Readathon. I'll leave information down below. I have an announcement video. I'm co-hosting that with Jacqueline and Jordan from Sorry Book Solid. So I have a lot of like small books on my TBR, like on my shelves, but I want to save those for that readathon. And so I was trying to pick things that weren't thriller or horror, but that are shorter books that I have. And so what I chose as my two options that I'm going to put up as a poll, first one is The Housekeeper and the Professor by Yoko Ogawa. And I actually picked this book up because of Emma talking about it on her channel. And so I felt like it's kind of poetic justice to be reading it for a readathon that she co-hosts. This is like a little whimsical little type story from what I know about it, where this housekeeper goes to help take care of this professor who has short-term memory loss, and he loses his memory every 80 minutes. And so it's just about their little relationship and life, and it sounds really beautiful. And so this is one option. And then the other option I have is The Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman. I thought about reading this the last time I did a 24-hour readathon, but I ended up just reading a lot of horror books for that instead. And so thought it could be a good time to pick this one up. I really don't know what this story is about at all. It's definitely magical, surreal, weird. It has something to do with a middle-aged man returning to his childhood home. And then he runs into a girl. He sits by a pond. I don't really know. I don't really want to know a lot about it though, because I just know it's weird, and I like going into weird books not knowing as much. So these are the two books that I'm going to put up on my Instagram and poll to see what people pick. I have a feeling people are going to pick The Ocean at the End of the Lane because I feel like it's just a better known book, but we'll see. I'm going to put that poll up and give it a couple hours to get some votes in, and then I guess I'll just pick up whichever one wins. Hey everyone, I've made a terrible mistake and didn't think about the fact that UK time is different than American time, and the Thousand Doors Readathon has started now. And so I'm trying to frantically pick which book I'm gonna read. So yeah, just let me know in the poll on the next slide which one you think I should pick up. Okay, hello. Updating on The Ocean at the End of the Lane. This is what won the poll as expected. I am like halfway through it, and I'm also getting ready to eat some food. So just figured I'd update you while I was taking a break to eat, because I'm trying to get through a lot of the book as soon as possible tonight so that I can move on and read something else. So this is my first Neil Gaiman book, kind of. I have read American Gods, but I didn't ever finish it because I didn't love it. I DNF'd it, which is rare for me. Also, if you're wondering what I'm eating, some pork and some garlic sauce. Got some pork and some noodles, and then a lot of dumplings. But anyway, I didn't love American Gods when I read that. DNF'd it. Didn't know what to expect with this book. Heard it's weird, and it is super different from what I was expecting it to be, just in terms of like what the story is and also how weird that it is. If you watched my most recent 24-hour readathon vlog, I actually considered reading this book back then, but then I ended up just deciding to read horror books instead, and I thought this was going to be more fantasy. But honestly, this kind of feels very much like horror at this point. It feels very much like a child's nightmare. I thought I was going to have a kind of similar vibe to House at the Bottom of the Lake, which is also why I didn't want to read it like back to back with that book, because I read that in my 24-hour readathon. No, very different vibes. So because this is called The Ocean at the End of the Lane, and like the cover is water and the description doesn't really tell you what the story's about, I just thought it was going to be about like this man and this body of water and something to do with that. These noodles are very good. But like I said, it feels more just like a kid's nightmare at this point. So what's happened so far? The story starts and this guy is like a grown man and he's going back to his hometown for a funeral. And I don't think you know who died. I didn't really catch that If you're supposed to know, then I don't know. But he's going back to his hometown for his funeral, and then he's kind of like exploring his old stomping grounds and basically just gets sent back in the memories of his childhood and like what happened here. And then a lot of the book, everything I've read so far, really takes place like back when he was 7 years old. And so I was expecting this to take place more as he was an adult, so I wasn't expecting it to be like a 7-year-old boy story, which is fine. It just was not what I was expecting. And then he's just like recounting things that happened in his childhood and these weird experiences that he had. And so basically what happens, he has this neighbor named Letty Hampstock or something is her last name, and she has her mom and her grandma, and they live on this farm, and they're like magical, like they kind of give off witch vibes, but I don't think they're witches in particular. They're just like these magical, fantastical kind of creatures. There was a Twilight moment where the boy asked the girl how old she was, and she said she's 11, and he was like, how long have you been 11? And it just felt very Twilight vibes for a second. But they're like magical in some way, and they like know what people are thinking, and they like know what's going on, and there's something magical going on. Something goes wrong. The bad thing that happens is the boy's dad's car gets stolen. They go and find his car with the police, and there's a man in the back seat who's like killed himself in the back of the car, and the boy like sees that and is exposed to that but doesn't fully understand it because he's 7. And then after that like unleashes some bad energy on the town because the guy was like gambling, I don't know, something to do with money. Coins start showing up in weird places, like on the inside of a fish, and then like he coughs up a coin himself, and the girl Letty explains that it's because of that man, and there's just like someone trying to give people money, but they're doing it a bad way. I don't know. It's like really doesn't make a lot of sense. It's very magical, and that's what I didn't expect, that it was going to be this like really weird thing. And so now what has happened, they go and they do this ritual in the woods. The boy ends up pulling a worm out of his foot after it because he like messes up and does something wrong, like letting go of her hand, and now he's got this like housekeeper taking care of him, like a nanny, who's like a manifestation of this evil force, and he's really afraid of her. So that's why it feels like a kid's nightmare. And it's good. It is just nowhere near what I expected, and I really have no idea where the story's gonna go. And just the synopsis did not make it seem like this was going to be the story. So I don't know. I only have like an hour and a half-ish left of it. I'm also listening to it on the audiobook, and Neil Gaiman himself reads it, and it is just like magnificent. It is a very good audiobook, so I'm really enjoying listening to him read it to me. But yeah, I don't know where I'm gonna land with a rating on this one. I guess it's gonna depend on where the story goes, but it's just very unexpected. So I'm gonna eat the rest of my dinner, and then I'll hop back into the book, finish it, and we'll see how I feel about it. Hello, good morning. I just woke up, can you tell? So I did finish The Ocean at the End of the Lane last night, and I don't really know how to feel about it. This totally seems like a book that should be for me. It has all the right amount of weirdness that I usually like, but it just wasn't for me, I don't think. I don't know, I just didn't really like it. On enjoyment level, this was like a 2-star for me. I was just kind of like pushing through the back half. If it wasn't so short, I would have DNF'd it. I wish it was shorter. I felt like it stretched on for too long. Yeah, I guess I just feel weird because I was expecting to really like it, and I just didn't really like it. I can't really pinpoint anything in particular about the book. I think it was just not what I was expecting. It was super weird, and so it's one of those books where it feels like everything you're reading is a dream and not grounded in reality much, and so that I don't really like. I like it when things are a little bit more grounded in reality and there's like some weird stuff going on, but this just felt like entirely like weird and magical, and I typically like unexplained magic, but this amount of unexplained magic just really made me feel disconnected from the story, and I didn't really feel invested in many of the characters. I don't know, it just didn't really work for me overall. That was kind of it. It just wasn't my kind of book. So a little disappointing, but glad I finally read this because I've heard it talked about a lot, and I've always wanted to know if I would like it because I've just been curious about other stuff from Neil Gaiman, and I think this kind of just determines I probably don't like Neil Gaiman's writing, which is fine. Just helps me make my TBR even shorter. So now I need to return back to Megan's video and see the end screened things to figure out what my next prompt is going to be. So let's go take a look. Okay, so my options are what star rating did you give the book, 4 to 5 stars, 1 to 3 stars, or DNF. So definitely gonna click that 1 to 3 star range.
Hi!
Emily, I'm sorry that you didn't particularly like your last book. My prompt for you for your second book is the album Sour by Olivia Rodrigo.
So I ended up on a prompt with Tasman, and her prompts are all being inspired by like songs or music in some way. And her prompt is the album Sour by Olivia Rodrigo, which is such a great, fun prompt. I was really hoping that my next prompt would lead me back to a particular book because like I mentioned at the beginning of this vlog, I'm reading another book and doing another vlog right now. And I have to have the book done by tomorrow, and I just am gonna have to read it anyway. So I'm like, you know what? We'll just make it dual. We'll make it part of this. I'll tell you a little bit about it. And if you want to hear more about this book, you can go watch the entire reading vlog. That's going to be dedicated to that book. And so that is Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid. There's no like particular song that I'm associating with this book, but like the whole album just being about like relationships and some secrets and revenge and things like that. This is just a book where there's like a lot of relationships and things going on. So this is a story that follows the children of Mick Riva, who is a character from another one of Taylor Jenkins Reid's book, The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, but you don't have to read the other book to read this one. It's just kind of like an Easter egg sort of thing. He ends up being a really famous singer. He has 4 children. He cheats on his wife a lot, has a really tumultuous relationship with her, kind of abandons the kids. And this follows the kids as they're all grown up, and they have a party every year at the mansion. It's like the famous Riva party. The book takes place on the day of the party, but you also go back in the past and follow Mick's relationship with his wife June, who was the mother to most of these children, and the on and off again nature of that and how the children grew up under that. And the context of the book is that, you know, on the day of this party, it ends with like a fire. The mansion gets set on fire, and so you don't know why that happened. And so you're following like the hours of the day leading up to the party, but also going back in the past to see Mick Riva's relationship with his wife and other women because he is quite unfaithful. So I feel like this fits the vibe good enough, and I really need to read this book today. I'm about halfway through it right now, so really just need to get it done. But yeah, like I said, I'm doing a whole separate vlog on this book. It will not be out yet by the time you're watching this, but if you end up being curious to hear more about this, then you can go check out that vlog when it comes out later in the week. It's also got like a lifestyle part to it. I don't want to reveal what the video is, but you'll see it coming later this week. So if you're curious to hear more about it and kind of see what that video is, it's something unique I'm doing for the first time, then you can go check that out later. I usually don't like to double up, but I've got to get this book done by tomorrow, and so we're just gonna do it. We're just gonna read this here. I won't give you too many details, but I will tell you like generally how I feel about the book. Okay, so I finished Malibu Rising, and like I said, I'm gonna keep it brief because I am gonna have an entire video dedicated to this book, and I'm tired of talking about it for one, but also I don't wanna like oversaturate just talking about one book. Long story short, I didn't really love it. I felt pretty neutral about it the whole time. I didn't ever really want to read this book. I just got put in a circumstance that led me to read it. And so I wasn't expecting to like it, and I didn't really like it, and that's fine. Yeah, it was an okay story, I guess, but it just wasn't complex enough for me to really enjoy it. I don't read a lot of literary fiction or contemporary fiction often. I tend to gravitate towards thrillers and mysteries and horrors most often. And so if I'm gonna read a literary fiction, I like for there to be a large element of mystery or a complex timeline or really raw emotions where the characters feel so real to me. And I feel like this book just did not have anything special about it. Like The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo is a very special book, and that was really amazing. And then Daisy Jones and the Six has a really cool format to it that made it special and amazing, but this book was kind of just another story, and it didn't feel super special or amazing, and so that's where I am with it. So now I'm gonna go back to Tasman's video, look at the end screen, and see where I am going next. Okay, so the end screen of Tasman's video asked the question, was the ending of your book satisfying? Yes, no, or I DNF'd it. And I would say the ending of Malibu Rising was satisfying. I wasn't expecting a lot from it. There wasn't a lot I could have done. It was fine. The ending was satisfying. I wasn't left like, oh my gosh, what was that ending? So I said yes. That led me to a video from Emma.
Welcome to your final prompt, and I am so glad that you enjoyed the ending of your last book. I have got here the board game Hive Mind, so you and I are going to play this together right now. I'm going to randomly pick one of these cards. Okay, so the question here is, what are 3 ways to fill in the blank? Road blank.
whose prompts are all based on games that she's playing. So I've gotten to do a prompt from everyone, so this is really fun. So this is a game called Hive Mind, and you pull a card and you try to think like everyone else. And so the card that she pulled is fill in the blank, road blank, and you have to think of 3 different ways. So she's gonna do it, you're gonna do it, okay, I'm gonna do it, and then we will see what happens from there. So I'm gonna say my 3 fill in the blanks from road blank will be trip, work, and road sign. That was a little bit harder than I expected it to be. So I'm gonna see what she said.
I'm gonna tell you that my 3 words were road kill, road trip, and road ends.
Okay, so the way it worked was she picked 3 words and you see what you have in common. So she said road kill, road trip, and road ends, which is the name of a book that she likes. So I also said trip, so that word is gonna be my prompt. So I can do with that whatever I really want to. So I'm gonna have to go peruse my bookshelves and see, because nothing's immediately coming to mind. But if I could do like a thriller, I'm in the mood for a thriller. So maybe I have like a road trip thriller, or there's some way I could work that in. Ooh, I just had a thought. Okay, we're gonna see. I'm gonna go see what I have. So the first option I have is a really solid choice, and that is Hostage by Claire McIntosh. And this is a like airplane thriller, I think. So it follows a flight attendant named Mina who is on a non-stop flight between London and Sydney. And then she gets a note saying that the following instructions will save your daughter's life. So it's a 20-hour flight and someone's holding her daughter hostage and she has to figure out what's going on. So this is like perfect to fit like trip, like an airplane trip. So this is an option. And then another one I have, it doesn't fit as well, but that is Hairpin Bridge by Taylor Adams, which is a thriller about this girl whose sister drove out to a remote bridge and jumped off the bridge to her death. At least that's the police version, but the sister isn't buying that story. So now she's taking the trip out to that bridge, driving her dead twin's car to go figure out what really happened. So like she's taking a trip to see why her sister took this trip to do that. So this could also work. And then the third option I have is like pretty much a huge stretch, but I really am interested in this book, and that is Near the Bone by Christina Henry. So this is a horror book about this couple living out in the middle of the mountains, very estranged from society, and I believe he's an abusive husband. They think they're alone, but then they find out they're not, and that there's something out in the woods, and 3 strangers appear out on the mountaintop. So like 3 strangers took the trip out there is how I'm interpreting this one. So it's a bit of a stretch, but all of these are up on my radar, so these are all in consideration. And what I think I'm gonna do is just do a like try a chapter where I read the first chapter of each of these and then see which one I'm most interested in, because this is the last prompt and it's the last book and I have 1 day left in the readathon, and so I want to make a good choice. I want it to be something I'm interested in. I don't want to end up with something I'm not satisfied with or a DNF. So I'm gonna give them all a shot, try out the first little bit and see which one I am most interested in and which I want to finish out for the last prompt. We've had a total and complete change of plans. So I did read the first chapters of all 3 of these books and they were all fine. They're all books I'm interested in, so of course, I liked them all. What I was going to do was go with Hairpin Bridge because it is definitely shorter than Hostage, I think a little shorter than Near the Bone, and so I need something short, and the writing just seemed a little bit more fast-paced. I'm probably a little bit more interested in Near the Bone, but the way the abusive husband is being painted is like a little too evil villain character-y for me, that I don't know, I wasn't like loving the writing with that, so I don't know about that. And Hostage was just a little long, and it was starting with like the parents walking the kid to preschool, and I was just like, bored. And so I was gonna go with Hairpin Bridge, but I started reading this. I got like 25 pages in, and I'm so tired. Like I'm genuinely just tired. And so I don't know if it's because I've done a lot today and I'm tired, or the way it's written, but I just didn't even know what I was reading. I was like, who are these characters? What is this that I'm reading right now? Because there's a portion that kind of switches the narration. I don't know. I'm just like, this is gonna be too much. It's just gonna be too much. It's also just long, and I just wanna be able to read a book tonight because it's only 8 p.m. So like realistically, I can read a book in the next couple of hours and read the whole book if I pick something shorter. And so we're having a complete change of plans, and I'm gonna pick up Every Heart a Doorway by Shauna McGuire, because this is about kids who take a trip through a portal into a magical land, and then they take a trip back, and then I think they get sad because life's never as great. But this book's freaking tiny, and so I can for sure read this all tonight. I have wanted to read this for a while. It is a series, and so I was thinking about doing like a reading vlog where I try to read the whole series, but you know what? This is just gonna do what I need to do for me tonight, and so I'm going to read this. There's also an audiobook of this on Script, and so I might try that out as well, just to help me get through it. But this is only 170 pages, so yeah, I feel like I made the better choice. Okay, so I just read the first little bit. I got to part 2, page 64, so I thought it'd be a good place to give a quick update because I know I'm gonna fly through the rest of this. I am absolutely loving this book. Like, I am obsessed with this book. I know I've said I wanted to read this book for a while, but I honestly just didn't think I was going to like it that much, because just so many people have talked about this for years, and so many people have said this is 5 stars. And so I typically find that like if I miss the hype of like reading a book when it first comes out, and I hear people for years calling something a 5-star read, that when I pick it up, I'm just like, yeah, it's a 3-star, it's fine. Like I don't get that same kind of spark of joy typically when something's kind of like old news. And so that was kind of why I expected not to like this, or not to love it at least. Also because I've read a couple other things from Shauna McGuire. Most recently I read Into the Drowning Deep, which is written under the Mira Grant pseudonym. That was a really good book, but it just like didn't keep me hooked, and I ended up like DNFing halfway through. I'm gonna finish it eventually, I'm gonna go back to it, but like it just wasn't the right time for that book. And then I've also read Over the Woodward Wall, which is written under the pseudonym A. Deborah Baker, and I believe that book is like a spin-off kind of thing to do with Middle Game, which I have not read, but I do own. That book in particular, Over the Woodward Wall, I thought was probably gonna have a really similar vibe to this, and I did not really like that book. It was like a 3-star read for me, just kind of meh. It was really childlike and very much like Wizard of Oz vibes, I guess, and it just like read a little young to me for me to really enjoy it. It just didn't really work for me. And I thought this was gonna be really similar because they seem to be similar vibes, they're like similar lengths, and so I thought this was gonna be kind of like that. So basically my expectations for this were just lowered over time, and now it's like blowing me away. I love it so much. I have laughed out loud multiple times reading this book because these characters are just so funny, and the things that they say that they just pull up out of nowhere when they're just talking about these magical worlds they went to, and these magical creatures they fell in love with, or these magical creatures they killed, or how they became a king. Like they're just saying all these things like they're so normal, and it's just these outlandish things, but they're just like, no, this is my normal life. Like I went out there and I did this, and it is just so funny. But so far in the story, we're following our main character Nancy, who has traveled to the underworld, or like a type of underworld where it was like the Hall of Deaths or something like that. And so that was like a dark, creepy kind of world, but she like loved it, and she was there for years in her time, but like 6 months in Earth time. And then she came back, and her parents are all upset because she's nothing like she was, and all she wants to do is go back to that place, but she can't find a door to go back. And so she is being sent to Eleanor's home for wayward children. It's called something like that, which is this older woman, Eleanor, who herself has traveled through a portal before, has started this home to support children who have gone through a portal and are now like upset that they can't go back. And so Nancy ends up going there and she's meeting other characters there, other people that are in the home. And it's just a really fun, eclectic group of kids. Like, it really reminds me a lot of The House in the Cerulean Sea, which was one of my favorite books of last year. And so I'm really enjoying this. I really think I'm gonna love the whole thing. I purposefully did not read the synopsis because I just like not doing that with short books. I just want to go in and kind of not know, so I don't know where the story's even going to go. I'm just here for a good time, and I'm really pleasantly surprised. Okay, I just finished Every Heart a Doorway, and I am so glad I decided to switch up my plans and pick up this book, because this was a 5-star read, which is exactly what I was looking for to close out this readathon reading vlog. So I'm very, very pleased with this. It was just amazing. I loved the characters so much. I feel like you kind of lose the main character, Nancy, a little bit in like the 50% to 85% portion of the book, because you just start getting absorbed in like all the other characters. What this story becomes about is people, like the children, start getting murdered in mysterious ways, like parts of their body are missing, and so they're trying to figure out who is murdering the children at the home. There were definitely things in the story that I was like, yeah, this is not a perfect story. Like, Eleanor's reaction to this doesn't make a whole lot of sense, and it makes me really curious about her as a character, which I think we get more on her later in the series, I would imagine. But it was just such an enjoyable read, and it was so fast and like the perfect length and the perfect pacing, and I suspected who the killer was, but I wasn't mad about it. Like, I still liked the way the story went, and then it ended perfectly. I love the way it ended. It was just so good. So I'm really sad I waited so long to read this, but I'm glad I finally picked it up, because now I'm very intrigued to check out the rest of the series, and now I see what everyone has been raving about. So that brings me to, I think, the end, because this was the third prompt. So I'm gonna go back and check out, whose video was it? I think it was Emma's. Yeah, I'm gonna go back and check out Emma's video to see what happens at the end of it, to see if there's anything else at the end, but I'm pretty sure this was the end. But let me go check, just in case.
Hello everyone!
Hey everyone!
Hey everyone!
Congratulations on completing the first ever weekend edition of the 1,000 Doors Readathon.
Okay, yes, that was the end. I have reached the end of the first weekend 1,000 Doors Readathon, and I really hope they continue to do this, because this is just so fun to just go on this random like journey of prompts that lead you to the books you're gonna read. I feel like I would even go back and do this again, because this time I think they had more prompts and more possibilities for where you could end up. And so I think I would even like just do this for fun without it being the readathon. You can go back and watch their videos anytime and make your way back through them. To recap what I read really quickly, I read Ocean at the End of the Lane by Neil Gaiman, because why did I read this book? Oh, because it started with Megan's prompt of asking the audience, and this is what won my Instagram poll. I did not really enjoy it. I gave it 2 stars, and so that led me to a prompt of Tasman's. That was the album Sour by Olivia Rodrigo, and so I picked up the rest of Malibu Rising because I was reading this anyway, and that seemed to fit the vibe, and finished this book, which I also didn't really love, but that was okay, and also gave this like a 2-star. Then that led me to answering the prompt of whether the ending was satisfying or not, which it was, which led me to a video from Emma that ended up being the word trip, which is how I got to Every Heart a Doorway, which I did love. So I did get a 5-star read out of this, so not all a loss. And I really did want to read The Ocean at the End of the Lane, so I'm glad I got to that one too. Let me know if you participated in the 1,000 Doors Readathon. What did you end up reading? Did we get any of the same prompts? Did you make a readathon vlog? If so, let me know down below so I can go check it out. But yeah, that is it for me. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye!